Um, in Learning Topic 7, we talked about open source software and the philosophy and some of the history and, and some of the ramifications and benefits of open source software as it relates to education. And for me, this topic was one that was a little bit less about finding a tool specifically, and really more for me, at least, a chance to kind of get back into some thinking about philosophy as it relates to individual freedom and things of this nature. And so for me, the open source software topic and the research project was just kind of really eye-opening and just kind of reaffirming some of what I knew about open source software and content that's generated by the masses, and those kind of technologies that allow large groups to share their ideas and share their knowledge with others, and kind of the evolving nature that projects like that take on. And so learning some of the history about open source software and its infancy and the development of general public license, for example, and just really the kind of visionary and to me kind of revolutionary approach to developing and sharing technology was something that was really cool. And like I said, I believe in my write-up, I felt like there's for me an attraction just to the philosophy and the idea behind information being free, and this willingness to share and cooperate and collaborate with others in an effort that really goes beyond the self and beyond self-interest, but more kind of puts society as a whole in front of something like maximizing monetary gains for one's ideas and one's knowledge. And so that was something that really stuck with me, and something that really struck a chord with me. Again, just the whole cooperation that seems to exist, and is kind of one of those foundations of the movement. And naturally, from a technical standpoint, I can barely begin to understand the nature. I've never looked at a source code. I wouldn't know, even where to begin as far as trying to debug or improve a product by accessing the source code, which is, of course, the whole linchpin to open source software. But at the same time, something that I just find very interesting, and the other thing that kind of was showing up as I kind of researched and thought about and explored what was available is number one, even though open source software doesn't necessarily mean free software, in many cases, in most cases, I believe the software is provided free of any charge to the public. And so, of course, in a world of static or shrinking budgets, in a world where we constantly want to be expanding and maximizing the exposure that our students get to technology, you naturally kind of leads you to think, okay, is open source software, are there programs or their operating systems that would be a more cost-effective way to bring that technology to students in any educational setting, but in our public education, I think especially. And so, what I'd kind of found with playing with some of the tools that were linked through the content was that they can be outstanding, and much of the research that I had read was very positive in how open source software had a positive impact on learning and had a positive impact on the bottom line. But I believe certainly caution and kind of testing things out and giving things time enough to kind of play out is the best way to determine if an open source software is truly something that you want to go put on all the machines in a school building. Some that I had experience with were maybe not as well developed as some of their proprietary software counterparts, or just kind of seemed to come with little things that you weren't really bargaining for, and kind of impacted the performance of the machine, which is certainly something that you don't want in a school. And so again, this topic was very interesting in kind of in a much different way, I believe, than most of the other topics, in like a truly just academic sense, and the way that I kind of approached the research was for me a little bit more traditional than some of the other learning topics, but again was something that I found extremely interesting and very valuable and very refreshing. Like I said, for me as an educator, I believe that I'm trying to find ways to open projects up to not, getting beyond individuals and getting beyond small groups, but to whole classroom or whole grade level, or even possibly like whole school kind of projects where, again, I guess the similarity between the open source movement is not necessarily that we're being able to access a code and build a program, but just that we are kind of building something as a community that exists in a digital environment. And so the more I am thinking about it, the more that I'm trying to use technologies like Wiki and like blogging and Google Sites and kind of networking digital documents together in a way where really everybody's getting a chance to contribute to something that's bigger than they would possibly be able to do on their own. And I think there's something just very attractive and romantic about that idea that trying to find tools to give to the students to where they're going to be able to kind of put their stamp on their part while again contributing to something that's bigger than themselves and their own work. So that's what I took away from learning topic 7 about open source software. And with that, we'll go to the final learning topic 8 before I bid you adieu. Thank you very much again, as usual.